Okay, here we are again. It's like Groundhog Day, over and over and over. It's true, isn't it? Too bad it wasn't so true that we could know what every exact trade would be. That'd be nice. So when was the last WASDE? I forget. It was. So now you can find out. There's a website. And it's the USDA, Agricultural Marketing Service. And the WASDE is the World, I believe, World Agricultural, let's see, today is November 9th, Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates. I believe it's the World, WASDE. So September 12th, October 12th was the last one. October 12th. I'm just looking for the last video. I'm going to trade corn. It's ZC 1217. You want to make sure that you right-click your chart, go to Data Series, go down to Session Template, make sure your default is 24/7, OK it, and then you shut down and reboot. And that way it'll read all your pivots, SMAs, highs of days, things like that properly. OK? It's been on the HIRA for years. So corn is what I'm going to trade, ZC. Let's look at the volume. Not bad, 198,000. Soybeans is only 54,000. Soybean you'd be trading January, it looks like to me. Is that what the HIRA says? Let's see. Yep. Now, there was a repair, not a repair, but there was an upgrade. I would recommend trading corn unless you've done the Rhythmic upgrade. If you use Rhythmic, there was a NinjaTrader upgrade for instruments that are expiring in 118, past 118. So if you haven't done the upgrade, do corn, okay? Because corn, I don't know why my clock all of a sudden is showing up on the right. It's so weird. Let me close it. Okay. So trading corn. Let's put the HIRA up. The HIRA is good. It is an upgrade to NT7 and NT8, Brian. It's just one of those meaningless upgrades. You just need your license key and you just follow their instructions. It doesn't do anything noticeable. So corn is a 5-tick bracket, 15-tick stop. I don't use the slippage settings, and the reason I don't use slippage settings, it's happened to us before. Sometimes you get a move that's so big, it bypasses the slippage settings, doesn't fill, you miss the trade. And generally, in all honesty, I think those slippage settings were there for older trades. The markets have not been exploding the way they used to. I mean, look at natural gas today. It barely moved. I mean, I wouldn't say it barely moved. It just didn't move a lot. Okay. So I don't use the slippage settings. So I'll use a 5-tick bracket. The entry time of 11:59:57 is okay. And then the hardest part is figuring targets. That's why I wanted to watch the video. Let me see if I can find the video from the last. I think this is it. The truth will set you free. ZC, this was WASDE. It was a big pop. I just wanted to see if I showed what the settings I used. Because I use different ones all the time. For some reason, I didn't show the settings. Let me see something. I'm surprised I didn't show them. Normally, that's one of the main things I show in the videos. So what did we say the date was? The date was October. October 12th. So the stop is 15. I just want to look at some old recordings if I have any. 10:12. I'm looking to see if they have the whole trade room recording, because that would show everything. And I do. Okay. So this was we kept natural gas open after WASDE. I mean, before WASDE. Here it is. Check volume like we always do. See, it's good to be boring. It is good to be boring. There's the settings. That's what I wanted to say. Nine and 15, which makes sense. 9 with WASDE. WASDE trades like the ES. It's 12.5 bucks a tick. It's 4 ticks a point. Okay. So 9 ticks on the first target is like 2 points plus a tick. Not bad. That's reasonable. And then 15 on the second was good. So I like that. It's nice to have all the old videos left over. Bracket of 5. Entry time 11:59:57. This is nice. It's automated. 2 contracts. First target of 9. Second target of 15. I was thinking about it. September was good. Last month it moved late. Another report was a no fill. Last month was 10/12. It was profitable though, Enrico. 10/12 was profitable. Did it move late? I don't remember that. Let me see if my notes say that it did. It's generally a report that I like. I always trade it. It only got stopped out once. 10/12, I'm showing that it was just an excellent report. This is not the crop production report. It's the crop production report is a quarterly report. This is the monthly report. Enrico, you're saying it moved 10 to 12 seconds late? That was the one thing I wanted to look at. I think I probably didn't do anything with moving stops because it can move very fast. Yes, I was just looking to see if I moved any target stops, and I did not. So Enrico feels that this is an unpredictable report. So he's going to watch, and that's perfectly fine. So 5-tick bracket, 11:59.57. I'm perfectly happy. I like 9 and 15. Whoa. Not 9 positions. Not 9 contracts. 9 ticks. 15 ticks. 15 ticks stop. But I'm not moving any of my break evens. Let's check time. Time's good. So we'll see what happens. It's like the first trade all week. It's been slow. So what's everybody doing? Anybody trading? Next month has a lot of trades in the first week. Retail probably. Trade balance. Non-farm. Australian GDP. 5-tick bracket. HE. Ten-tick cancel. It's a quick one. Oh, it's a very quick one. It usually fills right away. 5-tick bracket. Did anybody watch the New Zealand rate statement yesterday? Looked like it might have been tradable. Maybe not immediately, but after the trade. If you could figure what direction. There was a lot of movement. So there's really no way to. Talking Forex does give you some news, but it's very, very hard to analyze the news for this trade. You really just trade it, get the pop and the drop, make some money, get stopped or get out. And because you just can't quite analyze the news on it. There just isn't a real good source of news for it. So while it is a news trade, it's not a good after the news trade. Enrico, what's your fave next week, Wednesday? Retail? Is retail your favorite? Enrico's retail your favorite? So I've got my talking Forex on. Steven, what about a consolidation? PP to R1? $347. How about on the up? So I think 347.50. I don't see how it could not be 347.50. And 350. I don't see 347. I don't see how you see that as a consolidation. I just don't agree with that one. I could see from here to here, but not back there. I mean, that's a consolidation, but it ended and broke short. So that's the problem with consolidations. Everybody sees them differently. Don't you think? Did it rally a lot, HE, or did it just rally a little bit? One minute. 2.5 points is a lot. That's not a small move. So 10 seconds. That's a test to the high. Keeping a close eye. No move at all. Shrinking my stop. I don't want to get caught up in that. No move at all. Shrinking my stop. If I get stopped out, that's life, but there's no move. I'll take the 50. That was a very bad WASDE trade, folks. It just didn't move. And then if it moves late, there's not a whole heck of a lot I could do about that because that's not how we trade it. It's not how we trade it. $50 is how many ticks? That's 1, 2 ticks. 12 and a half, 4 ticks. It's 4 ticks. So it's a point with 2 contracts. It just didn't move. So maybe the news was pretty matching. Enrico got out break even on Sim. Did anybody make some money? I mean, you shouldn't have lost. I mean, you should not have lost unless you panicked. And because there's no real news to follow, I don't know that it's going to continue down. I don't have a way to know. Steven, so you shorted at 347? And where'd you get out? Or did you? How long did you stay in? $100? Where was everybody's fills? Similar? 347.50-ish? I mean, that just didn't move. There's not much you can do with reports that don't move. I was cutting my risk because the WASDE report is a popping report. It's a big mover. It's not a baby mover. You can always hang on for more. You always think you can hang on for more. But with WASDE, you don't have a way to know if it's going to reverse or not. And it often reverses. I kept waiting for a reversal. It never happened. Never happened at all. So I'm disappointed it didn't pop more. I'm not aggravated with myself that I wasn't more patient because it's just one of those reports you don't know. You don't really have a way to know if you can be patient. Maybe in retrospect, look at all the moving averages fanning down. That could have told me to stay in. You know, it could have told me to stay in. So, Alex, I don't know. Not that great a trade, right? I mean, it's just you don't want to panic. I didn't panic. I just shrunk my risk. I just shrunk my risk. I thought it was more important to shrunk my risk in this particular report than to try and grab profit because it wasn't moving. Steven, I'll take 100 on one contract any day. See, Steven, now I see a big consolidation. Isn't that funny? I see the consolidation all the way back to 1110. All the way back to 1110. Do you see it? So that would have worked nicely too. If you would have put your consolidation on, so Stephen, where would you have put your trade on? That's my question. So you see a consolidation, right? You have a new one-click range trader. You'll put it on 1 minute before the trade. Fair enough. Is that a regular amount of time that you'll do it? I mean, that will work very often. 1 minute before the trade, 11:59. Again, that danger. You got to make sure you stay safe of that pop. There was a pop before the trade. Well, that was before the trade. Well, no, it was 12 o'clock. That was the 12 o'clock candle. So you got to make sure you're above the high of day by one tick, I think. Yeah, 350 was safe. That was that one tick above the high, Stephen. Stephen, I think we got something here. Seriously. An interesting way to trade. It's an interesting way to use the range trade, but we've got to get it modified so it's usable. So, Steve, what do you do 1 minute before the trade? Let me take a quick picture. Please send me some pictures, folks, if you made money. Please. Here's our reversal. A disappointing WASDE. A dud. A dud. A dud WASDE. Which happens. I mean, look, last month for me, it was a bread and butter trade. It hit both my targets. How'd the soybeans do? Soybeans usually move more. However, did soybeans pull you into the trade long? Did anybody trade soybeans using JOBB? 5 ticks? It looks like 5 ticks would have stopped you out easily, right? Would have pulled you in long. 5 points, HE. I'm talking ticks. That's 20 ticks. HE, that's 20 ticks. It would depend where your targets were. You might have made it. You might have made it, but it looks very slim. It looks very thin, HE, for JOBB, if you follow me. Oh, Mexican rate at 2, Alex? I'll probably trade that. I probably will trade that. If you want to see a setup with no liquidity, I'm putting it in my clock. Alex, thank you. I forgot to check. I've been running around so much today. I'm going to make my clock go off. Mexico has not worked for a couple of months. Don't know why. It just hasn't moved. Why 2 o'clock too? Isn't that a strange time for a trade? It's definitely a strange time. I'll take a look at it. I do have a setup for it. Nice, HE. All right, folks. A dud of a WASDE. Very small move. Anybody else have anything to tell me what they did? Anybody? HE, what was your motivation to sell? The new high? James, did I say 12:30? I hope not. No, I had it right. 12 o'clock. It's always 12. That one I probably would not goof because it's always 12. So let's take a look at the news. See what else is doing. Talk for a second. So here we are at WASDE. Mexico CPI is not a trade. Does not move. Mexico interest rate sometimes moves. Sometimes. Very low liquidity. Did anybody watch the Chinese news last night? I think there was CPI, PPI. Let's check. It has not been performing at all, not even slightly. China CPI, PPI at 8:30. Anybody look at it last night? Anybody? HE, but I thought you said you shorted it. So tomorrow, our markets, usually we trade University of Michigan. It has not been a very good trade. Forget Mexico industrial production. It's dead meat. But University of Michigan, because it's Veterans Day, is that what tomorrow is? Um, Jay didn't have the trade on. So if it had been a really good trade, I would have called a trade room for it. But being that it's been such a mediocre trade, I just don't see the point of having trade rooms with bad trades. Okay? I hope everybody's okay with that. Jolts, I think, did nothing. Canada building permits, we're going to keep an eye on it. A couple of people made 5 ticks total. I posted on Facebook somebody's $50 profit. James, I think you made $50. You know, if you can make 5 ticks, it's okay. But when the markets are getting ready to close or like are sort of open a half a day, volume is strange and news trades are not normal like they usually are. So that's why Jay didn't call the University of Michigan for tomorrow. Sometimes I would still call a trade given those conditions depending on the trade. Like if it was US retail, I would still trade it. If it was, a good trade, core durable goods or ADP, something that moves, I would not give up the trade. But University of Michigan's been so mediocre. It just hasn't been trading well. So I could understand why he didn't call it, and I didn't have the motivation to have a trade room for it, just to watch a mediocre trade. Okay, just so you know, December is slow, folks. Just so everybody understands, Jay actually takes 2 weeks off in December, the week before and after Christmas. I'll probably do some trades just to keep things going. But it is nice to have a little downtime. We do this all the time. It's very stressful, especially for me. It's not as stressful for you if you don't trade. But if you do a lot of these trades live, which we do, it's very stressful. I'm stressed, you know? But that's my job, so why am I complaining? Soybeans always moves better. But corn is reliable, you know? So that's why I've been staying with corn. It's been nice and reliable. Yeah, today wasn't a big winner, but looks like nobody got hurt. So it's like, it looks like it moved as big as soybeans, but when you shrink it, it's not as big. So it made a new low right at S2. Interesting. A good point. Good reversal point, right? That's a darn good reversal point. Buy two here, Sim. Buy two there, Sim, and put your stop below S3. You might have a shot there. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. Put a target for S1. What makes it hard is you don't have news really to go by. Let's see, soybeans were up, corn end stocks were up, wheat stocks were down. See if this magnet trade works. It's not like the most powerful magnet trade. But it made a nice move down, so it's kind of ready for a reversal there at a new low. Give it a couple of minutes. Maybe it doesn't look great. Looks like it wants to head down. Don't go down, Mr. Corn. But I'm only throwing my money when I'm sure. I don't throw my money at stuff when I'm unsure. I got to be 100%. It's not liking me. Boy, I was hoping for a big WASDE trade. At least if you only have one good trade a week, you want that trade to be great. So if anybody wants to know, I'll look up my Mexican rate settings for you. Let me look them up. Um, Bracket of 6, stop of 5, Targets of 10 and 20. That's what I was using. The key is entry time. The last time I tried it was December 15th, I believe. Not December 15th. Why in my notes I've got something 12:15, and I'm wondering if that is the targets. And then I changed them to 10 to 20. That's what I'm thinking. But a bracket of 6, a stop of 5. I'd probably make it a stop of 6. The entry time is the trick. So the trade's at 2. The data gets released at 2. Mexico moves so slowly that I know that I've had some of my Mexican trades on 10 seconds early, and it was safe. So I'd probably do 157 on that. And I'd let it go 30 seconds because they're going to read the report. So I let it go 30 seconds. But my memory of that trade when it worked is it filled pretty quick. It didn't need 30 seconds. That's the truth. It didn't. It filled pretty quick. So you can use a 10 or a 15-second cancel. I really think so. Rich, we never trade the unemployment, number one. And the bonds, the 10-year bond's been a disaster. It's just not working. That 10-year bond trade just stopped working. I think it's had like 7 or 8 out of 10 that haven't worked. So Jay and I just said, forget it. It's not working. That's the truth. But we never do those Thursday unemployment numbers. We've never done them, Rich. We never do them. We've never been able to find a good trade for them. Brian, at one time, Brian, remember at one time you found a decent gold trade for him? Have you given up on that? I guess you have. There was no steady. See, the unemployment numbers, when they trade with like Philly Fed or something like that, then it's that we trade them, Rich. But we don't trade them by themselves because they just don't move reliably. We haven't found an index that they move reliably. So I think one day we will. I really do. But non-farm payroll is such a huge report, Rich. That's why it moves so well. Those Thursday reports, they come out every Thursday. Nobody really pays that close attention to them. So, I mean, that's why they don't really do much. It's like they come out all the time. Nobody spends much time on them. And they're different from like the oil and gas report, where even though they're weekly, people pay a close attention to them and they move the markets. But those payroll reports, they just don't move anything. I mean, sometimes they move gold a little. They might move. I haven't checked the dollar. Is the one index I'd love to be testing. We just haven't had time. But those unemployment numbers. They just don't do much. Believe me, Rich, I wish they did. I'd love to have a Thursday trade every Thursday at 8:30. That would be awesome. That'd be great. I mean, just for fun, let's go and look at gold at 8:30. Whoops. Sorry. So, Rich, 8:30 gold. Not a reliable move. It went down, went up. Not really got anything there to hold on to. Let's look at the yen. So you could see not much there on the yen, Rich. Nothing much happening. 8:30, and just nothing going on. Okay, so that's why. That's really why. So natural gas never got to my spot. I don't think. When I looked before, it still hadn't gotten there. Nope, it's farther away. It went up, if anything. Just didn't do much. Had the report, moved down a little bit, and I mean, had a nice move down. It popped up first, and then had a very nice move down. Very controlled. And then it reversed. Rich, maybe one day I'll go back to testing gold at 8:30 because that was the index we were looking at. I think the issue is yeah, maybe today it moved 20 ticks. Keep in mind, depending where you are in that move, if you're in the middle of it, if you're like on the 10th tick of that move and you have a 4 tick bracket, 14, then you have like a 6 tick tops move. So you understand what I mean. It all also depends where you are in the move. It's not always as simple as it looks. You got to check where you were on the candle. It might not be 20 ticks in your direction. It might have been 20 ticks, but not necessarily in your direction. So I know you get it. I think you get it. If we had a trade there, we'd be trading it. There just hasn't been a trade there. Anyway, any questions, folks, before I go? Corn's just been hanging. It kind of wants to stop me out, but it isn't. I think Chantal has herself maybe a great oil trade. I really do. I got to talk to her. Her Wednesday, her Wednesday oil trade. Remember, it's from 10:40 to 11 o'clock range. When 11 o'clock comes, it either goes long 2 ticks above the high or short 2 ticks below the low. I think 2 weeks ago it made almost like $800-900. The week before it easily made $200. And I think yesterday, I'm not sure. Yesterday I eyed it, and when I eyed it, it looked like it had some potential, but I'm not sure. But it's an interesting trade. It's an interesting trade. She's done a lot of testing on it. I think she's just been trading one trade on it. Her trade, Stephen, is after the news report. She does a range trade from 1040 to 11. And she's tested it for months and months and months. And she'll enter at 11, the high of the day, 2 ticks above the high or 2 ticks below the low. She'll use a 30-tick stop and a 100-tick target. 30-tick stop, 100-tick target. I think she's also tested it, and that's what I wanted to talk to her about, with a 12-tick stop and just staying in the trade until noon. On that trade, Stephen, she'll exit the trade if it doesn't stop out or hit target at 2:27 p.m., right as oil closes. Okay? Yeah, soy and this trade is very, very strong on reversals, HE. This is one of those trades that you would like because of the reversals. All right, folks. So WASDE was a dud, but a small winner. Nothing wrong with a small winner. Keeps you going to the next trade. And I don't even know when the next trade is. Let's take a look at what's doing next week. For real. NAB business confidence. Industrial production possibly, China. Uh, British CPI. We're not doing the zoo. US PPI on Tuesday. The British jobs numbers will probably be a trade. US retail on Wednesday. Crude on Wednesday. Australian employment. A lot of trades next week. Guys, you want to take 10 minutes and watch the 10-year bonds? I'll take 10 minutes and lay down and come back in 10 minutes. So the trade we're not trading, 10-year bonds, don't forget 1301.30. The trade would be like this. It'd be a bracket of 2. It'd be 1301.30. what I would do to make it worthwhile, or it's not even worth trading anymore, do two contracts do two contracts, but don't do it in real life, folks. This trade has not been working. And do 2 and 5 contracts and just do a 3-tick stop. Do not do it in real life, please. This trade's been terrible. And that's why we're not trading it, because it's been terrible. I mean, otherwise we'd be trading it. Why throw your money away? If you need to trade every second, then honestly, you can do some discretionary trading that makes sense. But don't just trade the bonds because we traded them and they used to work. And right now they're not working. What sense does that make? None, right? So let me leave the setup up for 10 minutes. I'm just going to chill for 10 minutes. Okay? Okay? How's that, folks? Fair enough? So if anybody wants to stick around and watch the trade, I will stick around. Okay? Yeah, Steven, I thought CL looked really good yesterday. China is a 6A or an HG trade, HE. Copper, HG. Okay, I'm going to leave the room open. I'll be back in 10 minutes, okay? 10 minutes. Okay, party's back. So this is a trade. Let's look at the dates. I'll go over them for you real quick. First of all, the trade setup. We have a 2-tick bracket, 1301.30, don't forget. And now we wait until 1302.40. We wait 44 seconds even on the trade, right? Where's my clock? Why is it over there? Get over. Why does my clock act crazy? Let's check the time because it is an important trade time-wise. Okay, time is good. So normally I'd be trading this trade every day. I like it. 4 contracts, 2 contracts, 5 ticks, 2 contracts, 2 ticks, 3 ticks stop. Very low risk. I mean, even as a bad trade, it's a low risk trade. But does that still mean that you want to trade it? What do you think? No, Ian. It's not even on the schedule, but I figured we were here from WASDE hanging around. I'd stick around and see what it does. Let me record it too, and then we can rewatch it. So your screens will blink for a second just when I set up my recorder. Don't panic if everything freezes for a second. Okay, so the recorder's set up. The news doesn't really matter on this trade that much because really it just shows you what the bonds are. I don't think there's anybody alive who really knows how to read that news. If there is, somebody tell me. Don't forget, we traded 1301.30. Okay, it's a little bit unusual. So let's look real quick at the last whole bunch of trades. So you see why we're not trading it. Hey, wait a minute. This is the 30. It's still the same setup. Yesterday was the 10. Yesterday was the 10. Okay? So this is the 30. The 30's been terrible also. We haven't been trading it. So same test, same setup, actually. But I thought it was the 10 today. It's because I listen to all you crazy nuts. When if I look at my own notes, then I know that yesterday was the 10 year and today is the 30. Okay? So what I want to know though is how to do on these dates. So that's what I'm going to check while we're waiting. So on October 12th, and we know this already, I'm just going over it. October 12th, the 10 year yesterday was a no fill. Not yesterday, the month before. Yesterday, maybe we'll look at after this. And the 30 was a no fill also. Then on September 13th, and I'll keep an eye for the time, September 13th, the 30 was a no fill. It's 2 no fills in a row. And the 10 year actually was not horrendous, okay, for the first time in a long time. Then August 10th, I don't know why, but the 30 year I didn't make notes. Didn't make a note, but I have it somewhere else, but I don't have time to look it up. The 10-year, the day before, was a good trade. Did we make a mistake? Well, that's 1 out of 3 10-years. No, it's 2 out of 3. Maybe we made a mistake. Now I'm a little bit concerned about the 10-year. On 7/12, the 10-year didn't work. Let me check August again. 13:01:30 is the time of this trade. But it brings up a dilemma, and here's the dilemma. So you get a trade that stops performing at the level that it used to perform. When do you bring it back with real money? When do you bring it back with real money? After 2 good trades? That's what I think. I think if you get 2 good trades, I'll bring it back. July 13th for the 30-year. One tick. And then June 13th. No fill. And the 10-year no fill. So you could see these, both of them, they've had a couple of, the 10-year had a couple that might have worked. Now we'll cancel this at 13:02:40. That's when it gets canceled. 13:02:40 if it doesn't fill. I've done 4 contracts, 2 ticks, 5 ticks, I believe. 3 tick stop, it filled. But I call that a sim fill. I call it a sim fill when it, now I call it a fill. So it would have worked for 1 tick so far, not 2. We would not be filled yet. We would not have been filled. We got to go 1 more tick to get filled. You got to figure a tick of slippage. You have to understand that, okay? We need another tick. But in the old days, this used to pop. And keep in mind, I'm trading 4 contracts. That's $120 a tick, right? If it fills both my contracts. But it's showing only 2. I could have sworn I traded 4. I would swear on it that I traded 2 and 2. I did. So why didn't it fill me 4 contracts? Not sure. Oh, because it filled my first contracts. That's why it filled. It says it filled me, but in real life, it would not have. We'd still be in with 4. We'd still be in with 4 because it only gave us 1 tick. So even though it looks like it's a doozy, it's not. But now it's working. It would have filled us. Now we would have been filled. It would have been profitable for 100 and a quarter at least. So it's an issue of risk that we're dealing with. When we look at the reports and think the risk is too high for the return, then we stay away from the report. I probably wouldn't have traded 4 contracts either. I would have traded 2, being honest. I would not have traded 4. So we would have made it 67 in real profit. And we could have gotten out. I would say we could have made, though, we could have made $187, to be honest. That's what I would say is honest. I recorded it, so let's let it finish and then we'll watch it. I'll certainly move my stop to break even if I've made 2 ticks, right? Theoretical. I can even now protect a profit, a tick. Okay? No harm there. The point is, this is sim. Don't get carried away. Keep it in perspective. Sim is way easier to make money than real life. Our real profit would have been 100 and a quarter. That it would have given us. But right now it wouldn't be 187. However, it would have been worth trading today. But given the way it's behaved, it hasn't been worth trading. It's just the way it is. You could yell at us, you could be mad at us. Stephen, maybe it is a range trade. Stephen, but it's a traditional range trade, I think, not a consolidation range trade. I think it's more of a traditional range trade, I think. But Brian says, incredible. It's been so long since it worked. HE got out with 2 ticks profit. Stephen used consolidation. Everybody has their way of doing things. Stephen, where's your consolidation? S2 and S2 mid? CHE. So ironically, it worked today. Let's watch it again. Let's look at yesterday. Since you're here, you few hardcore maniacs are here. Let me download yesterday's bond trade. Yesterday was 11.8, so we need ZB 1217. Now, of course, I couldn't be more aggravated than if someone punched me 50 times in the nose. Because it worked. It hasn't worked in a year almost. Brian knows I'm telling the truth. Okay? We keep you safe. I mean, we're not here to get you to lose money. Let's look what happened yesterday. So look at the report. Let's look at the report. Here's the trade. Actually, Oh, something went wrong with the recording, folks. Sorry. Not sure what I did wrong, but it looks like I didn't record it. Let me double check. I have it recorded in GoToWebinar, though. No, something crazy happened to it. That's weird. See, there's no time on that. Weird. Well, we saw what happened. You would not have made nearly that much money, but you would have made money. That trade worked today. Okay, it worked as a JOBB trade. Do you guys want to see yesterday's trade? The 10-year bond, if it worked or not? Only take a second. Load up market replay. Yesterday was the 8th. Let me think. So we need this 101.24 because we're trading at 101.30. Let me see if I got this right. So yeah, it'd be 1 o'clock. So the trade would be the same as today, but I would have done it small. I would have done it bracket of 2, 1301.30. I would have done one contract, 2 and 5 is fine, stop a 3, and that would have been our trade. So let's see if it worked. 1301.30, you should see the brackets, and we would stay till 1302.10. Ah, but you have to set the trade. I forgot to turn on the trade. You got to reset the strategy. It's such a pain. Ninja, just leave the strategy. Oh, I didn't put replay on, so it didn't destroy the strategy. If you don't put replay on, it doesn't erase the strategy. Figure that. I don't know why. So it's still there. I forgot to enable it. Enable it. 1301.30. There's our trade. Let's see if it worked yesterday, if we can tell. So brackets should show up now, and we will wait until 102.10. Okay, 102.10 to cancel. So the 10-year filled. Now that I call a sim fill. It's got to go through. Okay, that's a real fill now because it went through by a tick. So we're filled long. It used to be a harbinger for the 30-year. When the 10-year worked, the 30-year worked. But that hasn't held true in a long time. Although maybe it has, because the 10-year hasn't been working. Okay? 10-year hasn't been working. But I wouldn't have been overjoyed being filled, right? Because there's no movement. So this trade's been a trade with no movement, and it's continuing that predisposition. But you just don't have any activity. It's very frustrating to be in a bond trade that doesn't move. But you don't have a choice, so we have to stay in this trade. We have to stay in this trade. You don't want to do anything yet. I don't think I want to shrink. The only thing you might want to do is combine your targets, because the chance of getting up there is pretty slim, right? So this way, at least, you only have one set of targets. And then you wait. See if you can shrink risk. We've only got a 2-tick risk. So theoretically, we could lose 2 contracts, 2 ticks, $128 roughly. I could speed this up because this is replay. So it almost stopped you. It moved, but not by much. It didn't move much though. It wouldn't take much to stop you. It only have a 2-tick stop. So we're moving 6 times as fast as normal. Now I'll slow it down. So it's gone 1 tick in our favor, 1 tick against us in 7 minutes. That's not a trade I want to be in. Take care, Brian. One tick in our favor. You could shrink your stop if you wanted to. Or you could just play it out. Go for 2 ticks or lose 2 ticks. That's a personal choice. Go 2 ticks, lose 2 ticks. See how tough it is to get filled even in sim with bonds? Now the key is we want to see, did bonds get through this area? If they got through that area, then it's a definite 100% profit. It did. So this trade worked also. This trade would have worked yesterday. Blimey. Blimey, mate. So, look, it's our job to keep an eye on the trades we're not trading. Maybe we should be trading them again, right? Do you make that decision based on one trade that works? But the smaller trades look like they're getting a little bit of life back. So I'll tell you what maybe we could do. Maybe we could trade them with one contract and see if we can grab a couple of ticks out of them. That might be a reasonable way to approach it. Or you trade them with two contracts and just accept the loss. $125. Accept the loss. That it may not work. Don't trade them big, but nobody is to blame. This is the way the system works. You've got to check. If 8 out of 10 of the last trades were lousy, you take it off and you watch. And then if you get a couple of good trades, you bring it back. That's how it works. That's how I do it. That's how I do it with my money. Okay? Any last questions, folks? Any questions? I can't believe how many of you stayed. Thanks for staying, guys. Appreciate it. Anybody? Nothing? Everybody's good? So I'll talk to everybody next week. Lots of trades. We'll have a lot of trades next week. Okay? So I'll talk to everybody next week. See you, folks. Thanks for taking part.